Hi boys and girls, it's Miss Rossi. Today we are going to answer the question, what is in the box? Let's get started. Today we are going to practice drawing 3D shapes, and we are going to draw a box, and you are going to get to decide what is in your box. Maybe it is an animal, maybe it is some type of shape or some type of monster exploding out of the box, or it could be something more abstract, or whatever you want it to be. It's totally up to you. What we're going to need today is a pencil, a piece of paper, an eraser. I'm going to use a Sharpie to trace my drawing. You can use any kind of marker or a pen, and we're going to need something to color with. I'm going to use crayons today. If you don't have anything to color with, that is okay. You can leave yours black and white. So the first thing that we are going to do is draw our box. We're going to draw an open box today. I'm going to keep my box a little bit lower on my paper, and to start, I'm just going to draw a nice big rectangle. So however long you make your rectangle is how wide your box is going to be. So this is going to be the front side of our box that we can see while we're looking at it. Once you have your big rectangle drawn, you're going to draw a second smaller rectangle. Now this rectangle is going to share one side with the top of your large rectangle. It's going to have two vertical lines going up and then one horizontal line in the back. Now we have our small rectangle and our large rectangle. I'm going to connect the corner of my large rectangle to the corner of my small rectangle on both sides with a diagonal line. And now you can start to see the box forming. Now our box also needs the, what are those called? Flaps on the sides to close it, like the lid. Is it a lid when it's a box? Now what we need to draw are the pieces of the box that fold to close the box. So we are going to do two long diagonal lines coming off our large rectangle. So two long diagonals coming off our large rectangle. And then I'm going to make two smaller diagonal lines going off my small rectangle. So mine are about half the size of my larger diagonal lines. And I am going to do another diagonal line to connect them. Just like that. Now I have the side flaps, and I just need our front flap, because our back flap, you wouldn't be able to see that one if it's bending down. Now the way that I'm going to do this front one is I'm going to draw another diagonal line coming out towards the side, and one on this side, and then I'm just going to do a straight horizontal line all the way across for them to meet. Now you can use a ruler while you're doing this, and you'll get extra straight lines and your box will look perfect, but you can also just freehand it like me. I'm going to erase that line on my large rectangle where my flap that I just drew would be covering it, so you wouldn't have seen those. So that's why I erased those lines. And my box looks done. The only thing I need to add now are some shadows. So looking at my box, if the light is coming from the top, there would be a shadow under this line because that flap is covering this part of the box, so the light wouldn't be able to touch it. So I can just take my pencil and color along the edge of this flap only on that large rectangle and make a shadow that goes from darkest right under that line to lightest out as it goes out towards the box. And you can use a tissue or a Q-tip or your finger to blend your pencil lines so they are nice and smooth to create a nice gradient of a shadow. I use my finger, which you can also use. I'm just going to make it a little darker under that edge and blend it out. So I'm pushing hard with my pencil along that edge and lifting up as I go out. If I want to add any kinds of shadows on the inside, I can do that too. It would be darker inside my box in here, and lighter going up towards the top. And that's going to show some depth, so I'm going to do that along the back piece. And the top edge of this might even be a little dark too. And the same thing on the side, so I'm going to make it extra dark in that corner and lighter towards the top on both sides. So extra dark in the corner and light going up towards the top edge. And now my box has some nice shadows happening. You can even add a little bit of shadow on your box flaps depending on where you think your light is. If my light is coming from this corner, it's going to be a lot darker. It's going to be a little bit darker on this side because the light is shining towards that side of my box. You can even lighten up this half of the inside of my box and darken this half to fully show where my light source is, but you don't have to do that. Alright, now I have my 3D box. It is nicely shaded, so it looks more 3D. If you want to add a shadow on the ground, you can draw lines going from the edge of your box out towards the edge of your paper, and then you can create a shadow underneath your box, and you could bring that shadow out depending where your light source is. So if my light is over here, I'm probably going to have more of a shadow happening on this side. So I'm going to make my shadow bigger on this side than on the other side. And I can blend that out with my finger. And there is my box. Now, once you have your box done, drawn with your pencil, you can decide what's going to be coming out of your box. Today, I think I'm going to add a big fluffy cloud in the sky up here. Maybe my box is outside, who knows? And I'm going to have a big swirling rainbow shooting into my box. Now again, you can draw anything you want going in or coming out of your box. It's totally up to you. Now that I drew this in here, I know that this is going to be going over that back panel of my box, so I can actually take my eraser and go in and erase that section because I'm not going to be able to see it. So you want to think as you're drawing, whatever's going in or coming out of your box, how is that going to interact with what you've already drawn? Is it going to be blocking a certain part? Are you going to need to erase any pieces that you already drew to make it look more realistic? It's totally up to you and what you draw. So I'm going to separate my sections here so I have space to draw all the colors of the rainbow. They're going to be some skinny sections. So I'm only going to trace a few things on my paper today. With my Sharpie, I'm going to trace the outline of my box, so all of the pencil lines that I drew to create my box. And this is why we drew what was inside our box before we traced, because if I traced my box first and then drew what was inside, I wouldn't have been able to erase that line in the back that would have went through my rainbow. But I'm just going to go over and trace all of this. I'm not going to trace over my shadow. It blends a lot better in pencil, and I won't be able to get my Sharpie to have that same blended look. I think I'm also going to trace my cloud just because that is going to be white. If you want to trace whatever's in your box, you can. I'm going to leave my rainbow not outlined, and I'm just going to color in those colors. I'm going to go in and erase some of my pencil lines. I'm not going to erase my pencil lines on my box unless they are not near my shadows, because I don't want to erase those shadows that I made. So my line down here I can get to, and some of my lines on the edges over here I can, but otherwise I'm going to leave it. And now I'm just going to color in my rainbow. And that is my box drawing all finished. So like I said, you just have to draw the box, and whatever you want to be coming out of it is up to you. It does not have to look like mine. And if you don't have anything to color with, you can leave yours black and white. When you are finished, be sure to take a picture of your project and share it with me on your Google Doc. I can't wait to see the awesome things you guys are going to create. Have fun, try your best, and get creative. Bye!